Brett, we're back again. I feel as if we're spending more time doing these podcasts than we are working, but it's good.
A lot of people are requesting them.
I hear from the last time we've actually, from 4, we're up to 5 listeners. We're moving. We're going to be seeing people with T-shirts on and things like that. So, for Brett and Andy on their T-shirts.
Usually an increase, I think.
Anyway, what we want to talk about today is our technology, how we've got to where we've got to from the very beginning of being QSs and doing it on paper and calculators and working on spreadsheets and getting there. Now, you've led the technology from day one. You've taken the technology to where we are today, and you've led that whole team to do that and pulled your hair out many times and I've had to talk you off the ledge a few times over how long? 12 years you've worked for us?
Yeah, 11, 12.
Yep. So you've basically helped you manage that whole process of technology. Do you want to tell us a bit about how the technology has come around and where we are?
Obviously, I got on board and you'd already had a bit of a format and some processes in place with regards to how QSs can help out with some insurance. Mm-hmm. So the experience with Vero and the post-earthquake stuff and all that sort of carry on. I basically, you gave it to me and says, look, can we just zhush this up? Yeah, you like that?
Is that a Kiwi word? Is that a Kiwi word, that?
Have you ever tried to spell that word?
No. Brett, I'm terrible at spelling at the best of times.
And I really had no experience in sort of doing that sort of tech stuff, to be fair.
You were tech savvy.
Yeah, well, actually, I'd probably lied to you and said that I did. Maybe that's how I got the job. I'm not quite sure. Can't remember that far back now. And grabbed all those processes, and we were predominantly QS heavy in the office at the time. We had quite a few QSs, if I remember rightly. I think we may have had upwards of 20 QSs in the office, and I was tasked with this job, and I just thought, well, I better talk to the QSs. And the questions that we had were QS questions, and they're a bit seriously unemotional and just sort of very factual, scientific
like
questions.
QS.
Yeah. And I had to try and, I guess, speed it up because we had to meet the market with the cost as well. We were charging $1,200-$1,400 a survey, and surveyors valuers were charging half that. If you recall, at the time we were sharing an office with a valuation company, and so you went on holiday for a fairly decent sort of period and left me with a bit of a task when you left. Yeah, I think it was 3 months. I'm not quite sure, but
I don't think that's right at all.
And so I thought, well, I'll go and ask these valuation companies how they do it, and then didn't really get an answer. And I just thought, oh God, this is mission impossible. Talked to the QSs and said, how can we make this better? And at the time it was all paper, basically. So the first thing we did is we were having a drive at that time about digitalising everything because it seemed to be the buzzword at the time. And we didn't really understand it because we liked everything being on paper. And we thought, well, if you just take everything on paper, you digitalise it. But it's taken us probably 12 years to work out how to do it properly.
We went paperless. We went paperless then as well, didn't we? And that made a big difference.
12 years ago, we did go paperless, but that's not considered paperless now because paperless is completely. And we had questions on paper.
Yep.
We were sending people out the site. They were taking all the answers down, gathering all the information in paper, then coming back into the office, putting it into their laptops and putting it in spreadsheets, and essentially collating the information, then using the current rates. And it was pretty long-winded.
And that's when we were having problems with pricing, because if I'm a QS and I'll price plasterboard at a certain value, and you might price it you as a QS might price it a couple of dollars more than me, and we were having anomalies through our pricing.
Yeah, we discovered inconsistencies, even with the QS team, who are really pretty stringent. But we found out very quickly that they had their favourites. So if they, some of them would have a favourite and they would increase steel by, it might be 1%, 2%.
Yeah.
Because we work on elements, it could have quite a big impact on it. So we had to bring them in line and make the whole system consistent, but also have the scientific questions on site. So it was a bit of a double-edged sword. So we had to improve the information gathering on site. And the best way of doing that is we decided to take the QSs out of the mix and actually have qualified building assessors go on site to gather the information because they're not going to get too scientific and worry about hinges on a door.
Hours and hours.
And, or, you know, the fact that the window's tinted, they're just going to go, okay, good information, but it still needed to be relevant. So we then went through a whole series of questions. We then had to test it to see how long it was going to take them on site and reduce the time on site. I think we could do 2 jobs tops in a day. And so we had to reduce that time. We created an app, and the app basically was gathering information and started off its life as a spreadsheet, and then we turned it into an actual real app. And so that sped that process up, and that's a whole conversation in itself.
So through this, I used to call it an app, and you always gave me any trouble for it, Brett, and you just called it an app.
No.
Is an app not just a window into the system?
No, you were calling it an app. I was calling it a spreadsheet. So we had a spreadsheet initially, and then we actually had somebody turn it into an app who could actually do that. But that took some time.
I'm not casting up.
Yeah, I know. Right. Do I sound defensive? So yeah, and there was. It's funny, and this is sort of part of the process. Is one word. Well, how you perceive it can make a big difference. And
well, we've found that out over the years. And this is in what we call stuff. And
the QSs would have that because they're human. So there was error, even though they're scientific and very accurate. Some of them are scientific and accurate in different things than the others. So we had to bring them all in line. So the questions were standardized in the app. And I think we had about 150 questions that we asked in the app, which were intelligent. And so we now have 220. So, and you might seem not a lot of questions, but once we gathered the information, we then had to create our in-house operating system.
Go back to the questions.
Yep,
we've got 220 questions, but that's for one building.
Yep.
Over hundreds and hundreds of types of buildings. So there's probably thousands of questions on there. It depends what track you go down.
Yep.
It's 220.
So it's not the app or spreadsheet, whichever you want to call it. It's their operating system.
Yeah.
And C3IQ has all of encompasses. This is a bit like Jackie and anomaly word. All of that.
Obviously, I speak the Queen's English. Or the King's English, so encompasses, Brett.
Thank you. And you?
An anomaly.
Anomaly, yeah.
South Island thing. It's because you're from Central Otago.
So we call the whole thing, I am actually from Central Otago.
Sorry.
Yeah. We call everything C3IQ. So basically that's the umbrella over the top of our app and our operating system. And that's our tech. So our operating system would take all the answers that we gathered, and there's a lot of intuition and algorithms behind that, which is pretty much what you said.
Yep.
Is depending on the building type where it is, there's so many what if questions. I know they're called what ifs now.
Yeah.
Because the guy who developed it, Andrew, hates what if questions. So we've built all them into our system. So it uses intuition. So if you have a steep slope in a rural area, and it's a timber house on piles, the demolition is going to be a lot higher because it's going to be hard to get to.
Right.
The build cost is going to be a bit higher. So that's a real basic intuition that's built into it. So our 220 questions do get turned into probably 1,000 potential questions, but we didn't have enough time to ask 1,000 questions. Use the system to actually and the algorithms to actually eke that out of the answers that was done on site. We sort of did the first iteration of that, and it took us about 2 years to be able to get that up to speed, and it was only residential.
Yeah.
And then, we had residential going quite well, and then somebody who's in this room at the moment says, let's do commercial. And I used to have an afro and no grey hair, and it's like, okay. So we basically built a commercial one as well, which was the residential one on steroids, because there's so many different variations of commercial build types. We were told that would never work.
Yeah, we were actually.
Yeah.
I remember that somebody told us it would never ever work.
Yeah, so it works, which is good. And
yeah, that is good.
Works really well actually. And that's why we're really quite dominant in the commercial space. And
to be honest, Brett, you are so competitive. When they told us it wouldn't work, I knew you would make it work.
That's why I remember that they said that. And yeah, that's right, unfortunately. But it works well. And there's a lot of other tech that we developed, which is being able to quote commercials.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's been probably a bit of tech that we don't even talk about.
Before that, Brett and I used to price the same job in different ways. So we price things differently. I price it like a QS. Brett prices it like a builder or a construction guy. And we would price to do this job, and we would come up within a few $100 of each other within the same number. And we went, we actually need to do it. And it would only Brett and I would do that. And now we've got other part of the system. The technology does it all for us. I can see you smiling when I don't know what to call it.
Yeah, it's not an app. But anyway, it's like we've got a quoting system, which is built a part of our C3IQ.
Yeah.
And that sounds real simple, but that meant me and Andy arguing, myself and me arguing a lot, especially with the top end commercial.
Yep.
We'd be toiling over it for a week. Mm-hmm. And then we'd get consumed by it, would take all our time up, and our turnaround wasn't ideal. Mm. And then we had a big contract come in with I think it was 180 big commercial jobs in Auckland. And that's when we decided that we actually need to build something to be able to deal with this, to get consistency in cost.
And that's got so much better over the years.
Yeah.
And now we've left that online that our customers can go on and use it.
Yeah. So basically, when we're building the whole system, our end goal was to be able to let everybody else benefit from all the information that we're gathering, because, we kept getting told through this journey that we're gathering a huge amount of data, and probably 90% of our data doesn't even get used.
Yeah.
We're only using a very small percentage for the sum insurance side of things, and to the extent where a lot of people were trying to buy our data.
Mm-hmm. Which I must add, we haven't sold any data. We own all our own data. Before anybody says, who did you sell it to? What have you done? We haven't sold anything.
Yeah, it was a good move, actually, really, to be fair. And so we're sharing a lot more of that data with insurance companies and with the insurers and brokers. So if they have a loss, we can help them out at loss time, so we can confirm details and photos.
So you've got a story around that that's just happened with a loss that's just happened, and somebody used their tech to sort that out, didn't they?
The one just recently, that you got a phone call yesterday.
Yeah, I got a phone call from a customer, which doesn't usually, it's not common.
No.
Usually they'll phone me when there's a problem and not when there's something good, but this guy insisted and giving me a call, and I phoned him back, and he talked about how our data helped his client and his team get a good outcome for the insurance company, for the client, and for the broker. And everybody was happy with the outcome because of all the data that we had for that property.
Yeah, basically insurers are looking for more information these days, and we actually sit on all the information that they need to be able to clarify claims. So the broker rang up and was really concerned, just says, look, we just can't solve this. The insurers won't move. And you guys did the sum insurance valuation. Have you got any more data that can help us clarify to the insurers that this should have been insured for that sort of money? And we just said, well, yeah, we do. And we do that for some people. And usually we just do it for people that understand that we can do it. And it's not something that we really marketed, but we can talk about that a little bit later on. So what we did is we gave them all the information they needed. They went to the insurer, and the insurer says, fine. And then that was it. And it was as easy as that, but it really dug them out of a massive hole. And she contacted our senior QS that was involved in giving that information through, and was really grateful for it.
So we would never be able to do that without building the system we've got.
No, the data would be lost.
Yeah.
It would just be calculators and we've got actual proof.
Yeah.
And
it's accepted by all the insurers that it's accurate.
Well, it's in our system, so it's historic proof. And we built the system to be QA'd, so that was one of the big things around it, is if we were ever to be audited, there's a timeline and you can trace the information through. It's only been tested out a couple of times, and that's only because somebody was curious, but we've never been tested. But getting back to the data, in our system, we are in the process. It's not working 100% now. We're giving some data that they want, but they can log into our system and get access, and it'll be permission based.
Yep.
So insurers and brokers will get access to extra data, which they can use to clarify a claim, or maybe the reinsurers just assure them that this is the right amount of money and give them the proof that they need to be able to do that. Because it's becoming really risk-based now as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of risk-based questions that initially we built into our system that we haven't even been using.
Yeah.
We're starting to use that now.
Awesome. Thanks, Brett.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, you ready?